It was 10:17 p.m. The gym had been closed for 17 minutes. She'd made announcements, given warnings, turned off half the lights, and they were still there, still on the treadmills, still lifting weights, acting like the closing time was a suggestion. So when they finally walked out and said, "Have a good night," she didn't smile back. And apparently, that made her the problem. One of them complained to management, said she was rude, unwelcoming, made them feel rushed. Her manager pulled her aside the next shift and suggested she be more patient with members, more understanding. Like 17 minutes past closing wasn't enough patience. Like her time didn't matter because she was being paid to be there, and now she's wondering, was she actually wrong, or is this just what happens when you expect people to follow basic rules? This isn't a story about a gym, it's about what happens when your boundaries are treated as inconveniences to people who benefit from ignoring them. When being firm about rules that protect your time makes you the villain, and when the people who create the problem face no consequences, but you face consequences for not smiling through it. It's about the service industry lie that politeness matters more than respect, and the exact moment you stop pretending that's acceptable. She's 26, works at a big chain gym. Not her regular shift, she picked this one up as a favor, covering for someone else. Friday night closing shift. The gym closes at 10 p.m. on Fridays, unlike Monday through Thursday when it stays open until 11. She knows the drill. An hour before closing, she starts warning people who come in. "Just so you know, we close at 10 p.m. tonight." Most people appreciate the heads up. Some don't realize Friday hours are different. 30 minutes before closing, she makes the first announcement over the intercom. Polite, clear. Friendly reminder, the gym will be closing at 10 p.m. Please begin wrapping up your workouts. Then every 10 minutes after that. 20 minutes until closing. 10 minutes until closing. The gym is now closed. Please make your way to the exits. Standard procedure, normal closing routine, the kind of thing that happens at every business with operating hours. Most people respond appropriately. They check the time, finish their sets, grab their stuff, and leave. Some leave early to avoid the rush. Others cut their workouts short. Normal behavior, but there's always a handful who don't. Who act like the announcements don't apply to them. Who keep running on treadmills, keep lifting weights, keep using equipment like the lights being turned off is just ambient mood setting. 10 p.m. hit. Closing time. She made the final announcement. "The gym is now closed. Please collect your belongings and exit the building. Thank you." She started her closing duties, wiping down equipment, turning off half the lights, the universal signal that a place is closed, checking locker rooms, preparing to lock up. 5 people were still working out, not finishing up, not grabbing their stuff, actually continuing their full routines like nothing had happened. 10:05. She approached them individually, polite but direct. "Hey, we're closed. You need to wrap it up." They nodded, kept going. One more set, one more mile, just a few more minutes. 10:10. Another announcement, less friendly. "The gym is closed. You need to leave now." 10:15. Still there. She walked up to each one again. No more polite requests. "You need to leave. Now. We're closed." Finally, they started moving, slowly, taking their time, chatting, like they were doing her a favor by eventually leaving a place they should have left 15 minutes ago. 10:17. They walked past her toward the exit. One of them smiled. "Have a good night." She didn't smile back, didn't say it back, just stared, waited for them to leave. Her face must have shown exactly what she was feeling: frustration, annoyance, the specific exhaustion that comes from asking people to respect a simple boundary and being ignored. They noticed. The atmosphere shifted. They left quickly after that, quietly. Here's what happened next. One of them complained to management, filed a complaint about her attitude, said she was rude, made them feel unwelcome, rushed them out without patience or understanding. Her manager pulled her aside the following shift, not to reprimand her exactly, just to suggest she handle these situations with more grace, more patience, better customer service, because apparently 17 minutes past closing wasn't patient enough. The complaint made no mention of the fact that they'd ignored multiple announcements, no acknowledgement that they'd stayed well past operating hours, no recognition that their actions had directly disrespected clearly stated boundaries. The issue wasn't their behavior, it was her reaction to their behavior. If she'd said, "Have a good night" back while internally seething, there would be no complaint. Her feelings didn't matter. Her time didn't matter. Only their comfort mattered. This is the particular trap of service industry work. You're expected to enforce rules while making rule breakers feel good about being corrected, to protect boundaries while never making anyone feel bad for violating them. She was being paid to be there, technically. Her shift didn't end at 10 p.m. It ended whenever closing duties were finished. So in the complaint's logic, what did it matter if people stayed late? She was getting paid anyway. But that math ignores everything. It ignores that her shift should have ended by 10:30 if people left on time. That she had a life outside work. Plans, maybe. Or just the basic human desire to not be at work longer than necessary. It ignores that rules exist for a reason. That operating hours aren't suggestions. That when a business is closed, you leave. She tried explaining this to her manager, that she'd given multiple warnings, that she'd been patient for 17 minutes past closing, that her reaction was barely even rude. She just didn't smile. Her manager understood, but didn't care. Said that in the service industry you have to maintain professionalism regardless of customer behavior. That part of the job is managing difficult situations with grace. But they weren't being difficult. They were being entitled. And there's a difference. Difficult is someone who doesn't understand the rules. Entitled is someone who understands and doesn't think they apply to them. She asked what she was supposed to do differently. Her manager suggested staying cheerful, keeping a positive attitude, making people feel valued even when enforcing boundaries, which is code for smile while people disrespect you. Prioritize their comfort over your own boundaries. Perform gratitude for their eventual compliance with basic rules. She considered it, wondered if she was being too sensitive, if not smiling at someone who'd kept her at work past closing was genuinely rude, if she should have just been nicer. But then she thought about what nice means in this context. Nice means absorbing disrespect without showing it affects you. Nice means pretending that your time doesn't matter. Nice means making rule breakers comfortable so they don't feel bad about breaking rules. And she wasn't interested in being that kind of nice anymore. She still works at the gym, still picks up occasional closing shifts, but now she's hyper-aware of her facial expressions, consciously manages her tone, makes sure to smile even when people ignore her because the complaint is in her file, not a serious mark, but there. A reminder that customer comfort matters more than employee boundaries. She sees the same people sometimes, the ones who stay late. They've learned nothing from the experience, still linger past closing, still act surprised when she asks them to leave. But now she asks with a smile, with patience, with the kind of manufactured pleasantness that makes everyone comfortable except her. Some of her co-workers sympathize. They've dealt with the same thing. Late stayers who act like operating hours are flexible, who treat closing time as the beginning of negotiation rather than a firm boundary. Others think she overreacted, that not smiling was petty, that it's just part of the job and she should get over it. But it's not just part of the job. It's a choice to treat service workers' time as less valuable than customer convenience. A choice to expect them to perform gratitude while their boundaries are violated. She thinks about quitting sometimes, finding work where her time is respected, where rules are enforced by management instead of her, where she doesn't have to smile at people who keep her at work 17 minutes past when she should be leaving. But jobs like that are hard to find, especially in service industries. The expectation is always the same: prioritize customer comfort over everything, including yourself. This story is about the emotional labor tax, the requirement that service workers not only do their jobs, but perform happiness while doing them. That enforcing reasonable boundaries requires maintaining the comfort of the people violating those boundaries. If she'd worked in an office and coworkers stayed 17 minutes past closing, ignoring her requests to leave so she could lock up, everyone would agree they were being rude. She'd be justified in being short with them, but because she works in a service role, the rules are different. Customer comfort supersedes her right to enforce operating hours with anything less than a smile. The complaint wasn't about what she did. She did her job correctly, made announcements, gave warnings, eventually insisted people leave a closed business, all appropriate. The complaint was about how she made them feel while doing it, and that's the trap. Because you can't control how people feel when you enforce boundaries they don't want to respect. If someone feels rushed by being asked to leave a closed business 17 minutes after it closed, that's not a problem with enforcement. That's a problem with their expectations. But in the service industry, customer expectations are treated as more valid than employee boundaries. If a customer expects to stay late, that expectation is somehow more legitimate than an employee's expectation to leave on time. This is why burnout is epidemic in service work, because you're not just doing a job. You're managing everyone's feelings about being asked to follow basic rules. And if you fail at that emotional management, you face consequences, even when the rules are on your side. So here's what you have to decide. Was she wrong for being short with people who stayed 17 minutes past closing? Should she have smiled and thanked them for eventually leaving? Even though they ignored multiple announcements and kept her at work past when they should have been gone? When people disrespect clear boundaries, are you required to make them feel good about your enforcement? Or is simply enforcing the boundary enough? And if someone complains that you weren't friendly enough while asking them to leave a closed business, who's really being unreasonable? Where do you draw the line between good customer service and expecting employees to smile through disrespect? Because she thought the line was at closing time, but apparently she was wrong.